Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this regularly scheduled Township Board of Supervisors meeting. Our first item will be our opening ceremony. Pledge to the flag. Please join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There have been no executive sessions since our last meeting, so at this point, I would like to open up the floor to communication from citizens. And if you are on Zoom, please click the raise hand button to be recognized. Otherwise, in the audience, if you would like to address the board, please let me know that you'd like to come up here. Anybody? Please. Up to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. I am Sarah Hyland. This is my husband, Chris Hyland. We live at 2505 Schoolhouse Lane. My husband, Chris, has addressed the board several times before. I don't know if you remember, and I was back when everything was on Zoom about the intersection at Sundale and Schoolhouse Lane.
Yes.
And how people continually run the stop sign, come speeding down the hill, and we have a big concern about the safety of pedestrians and, since the school's right there. There's still a problem with people doing it. Just the other week, he was outside when the kids were getting dismissed from school, and he actually got a video of it off of our security system where a child was coming across the street. He got about halfway across and a car just came speeding across the intersection, very close to hitting the poor kid, probably scared the crap out of him. I know the township had put please yield to pedestrian crosswalk signs, but I believe in the winter they took them out, I guess because of plows and things and it won't get in the way. We did start a petition. Chris went door to door throughout the whole neighborhood getting signatures from people. We have several pages, like 5 pages worth of signatures of people that have suggested, excuse me, either a 4-way stop or some kind of signage saying, like signage on Sundale saying that, opposing traffic doesn't have a stop sign, to try and get people to realize that they do have to stop. Or like we had mentioned before about putting some kind of speed table in. I know Chris was outside one time as well, and he saw an officer patrolling the area. He was talking to him, and even the police officer acknowledged that it is a big problem. And they even suggested about us coming in person to a meeting, to try to get the point across and see if there's something that can be done. I know that an officer sits at the intersection of Kings Road and 7th Avenue for school dismissal. I didn't know if it'd be possible to get something like that in place when school's letting out, just to, for the safety of the kids. I mean, Chris has said himself, he'll go out and direct traffic. He's got a vest, he's got a whistle. We feel that something needs to be done because, we have a child ourselves that goes to the elementary school there, and in the mornings, I walk to make sure he gets across the street safely. In the afternoons, Chris usually watches to make sure that the kids are safe. I know the school does have like the safety patrol people, but he even talked to the school and said, they don't always pay as much attention as they should. They don't even put a teacher out there. They just let it in the hands of a 5th grader to get kids across the street. Anything else? About it.
Where do we stand right now?
We did put the yield crosswalk signs up in the middle of the road in both sides of the intersection on Sundale. We did remove those because
For the
of
winter
snow
time.
plowing.
Yeah.
We were planning or are planning on putting those back up probably within the next week or so, once we know for certain that we're clear of that correct. And that's where we stand with everything we've done so far. We put bigger stop signs, physical signs in. That was the first thing we did, was the bigger stop signs themselves. We put red reflective striping down posts to make sure that it was more clear to folks. Put stop bars on the place. And then the portable signs were the last thing.
So, John, you talked before about us not having the legal right to put more stop signs in the intersection.
To meet the criteria spelled out by PennDOT. There are very specific criteria for a four-way stop sign. And we've all gone through the drill that stop signs are not the appropriate way to try to slow traffic down, because the time that the individual loses at the stop sign, he tries to pick it up mid-block to go fast. So there are a few areas within the township that met that warrant. And I'm not certain, I don't believe this intersection would meet that. And one of the criteria is if you put a four-way stop in sign, is if you can't see, obviously, if you give an example up here at Cinema Drive and Eastern Boulevard, if you pull out of there, you can't see to the left of that car. It's a blind intersection. And to be honest with you, we thought someday that would meet signal warrants, but that's an example of an appropriate four-way stop sign. And so I don't think that that intersection would be a candidate for a four-way. In fact, I'm confident it would meet the criteria for a four-way stop sign. Now, we've looked at other traffic data, as you know, and I think we did have. I'm not certain. I know we as Mark mentioned, we put those larger signs, and I think it comes down mostly to enforcement. We even looked internally at changing, stop signs in different directions, and we didn't think that was an appropriate idea, because people would then have a very long stretch of road to speed, and we thought you take the problem in one place and transport it to another. So I know, and I'm not certain if we did speed humps out here or not.
We did those over 10th and 11th.
That's right. So those are the tools that are in the toolbox, and we've been working on 10th and 11th, and we found in that instance that wasn't an effective measure to try to slow speeds down, but we have other methodologies that we're going to discuss down the road on 10th and 11th. But and I hear what they're saying about trying to control the speed, and I think the one way is enforcement, but as soon as the enforcement goes away, the speeding somewhat returns. But one of the things I know we did some speed studies out there, and my recollection is that we did find that it wasn't that there might be a handful of people that are running the stop sign, but the vast majority of people, if I recall that data, were in compliance with the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. Am I correct? Yeah. And we did something now that I recall. We were trying to see if they ran the sign to try to estimate, which is a little unusual. We didn't have constant cameras there. We simply had our speed devices, and at that point somebody has to go from 0, and they put the speed device, measuring device, right at the intersection, so you can determine if people are running the stop sign flat out. But the vast majority, I don't want to give you a percentage, I don't know what that number is, but most people made a stop and then continued through. And
But the other direction, there isn't a stop sign.
no.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a solution here tonight, but
You had something about?
I had a quick question, Chris, for you and your wife. I drive that intersection almost twice a day, so I'm very aware of where you live and I see the nice sign in your yard, saying, please slow down. Very good. When the cones were up, I found it very visually suggestive and more people. Did you find that they obeyed it once those cones were out in the street, in the middle of the street?
Someone actually moved it out of the way,
No.
so I go out
Yeah,
there,
well,
stop the traffic to move back where it was supposed to be.
yeah, it was a big car or truck with a trailer that had come around the corner and the trailer got stuck on the sign and he just kept going. He didn't even bother to stop and move it back. I ran out and fixed it.
I thought they were much more visually productive than even the stop signs.
Yeah.
Because they're, day glow and you can't miss them. So I didn't know if that was effective when they were up. I was disappointed to see them have to come down, but I
Yes.
understood if there was a snowstorm in the Browns game. It would tear them, but did you find them to be more effective or not?
Like mine. I know, like you said, a four-way stop isn't feasible. I'm aware that speed tables, the speed humps probably aren't feasible as well. But if it could just be like a sign, I know there's one down at the intersection of Kingston and Sundale, where it says, opposing traffic does not stop. Even if we could just get something like that, but with the stop sign in Sundale, just to make people more aware.
We can certainly do that. We have those signs.
Okay.
Just to add, I find those to be very helpful. When I'm in unfamiliar territory,
Yeah,
Yeah,
some signs out there, that's very helpful.
We will do that.
Were there any other suggestions that came from any of your neighbors as part of your petition effort that we haven't already considered?
Bottom was a four-way stop
Yeah.
in the speed table. But even putting that sign up, still not gonna make a difference.
Yeah.
They're gonna pay attention to the stop sign, why are they paying attention to another sign? They come up with the stop sign, either. They come up and instead of stopping, they keep going right. Like I'm waiting for a stop sign to say, stop, except you're turning right. They don't really abide by that stop sign, they just do whatever. And it's getting annoying because. People walking, kids crossing, there's a school right there, so. Someone's gonna get hit, I got video, a kid, I'm just getting hit, my son just got hit, so it's like, it's getting to the point where I'm getting frustrated.
Short of closing roads off. I mean,
That's what
really hard to stop people from bad behavior.
I just wanna get one where a kid actually does get hit, and then you wanna do something about it.
So let's just say for a second that scenario, that worst case scenario actually happens. What would we do?
You gotta do something, can't just keep it, get hit.
So, I mean. Short of blocking a road off.
Yeah, no, I
or
get your
Putting
point.
a,
I
putting
get
a
your
traffic
point.
signal in and stopping traffic.
it's kind of like a
which-
rock and a hard.
Which we
place.
really can't, we can't legally do in Pennsylvania. And I don't know, our hands are kind of tied, but
It's unfortunate that this isn't the only place in the township where people stop signs. People that blatantly run them and then there's people that slow down enough to see what's coming and don't truly stop.
This may be hard to believe, but as I drive around Pennsylvania. There's a lot of Pennsylvania road laws that are not obeyed. In terms of how fast people go, cutting you off in traffic, running red lights. I mean, it's really getting bad.
And we only have so many officers on shift at any one time. They just can't be everywhere. At all times. So
Chief King, any comments that you want to add to the discussion?
The only thing that I would add, you did mention that there's a police officer at Kings and 7th right now.
Yes.
And the Kings are out of school. That is a replacement because we down at school crossing.
Oh, okay,
So he's actually, that officer that's assigned there is taking over the school crossing for that particular roadway.
okay.
Is there supposed to be a school crossing guard at this intersection or no?
No, not, that is something that the school. That may be another avenue for you to pursue.
We
So-
actually need an adult there, kids doing it, just
Yeah.
not paying attention.
If I may, there's also restrictions on the roadway for traffic. So you would have, there'd have to be a. I have to research that, see if that's. Viable
Yeah.
situation at teacher out. Don't believe it falls into that category.
And I also wouldn't want you to get yourself into trouble or get hurt taking a
Yeah.
job.
If my kids cross the street, I'm gonna be there.
That's fine, but yeah. You
My
understand
kids-
my
My kids are
meaning?
my main concern,
And
and everybody else
you're
is
perfectly okay taking care of your family. I wouldn't want something to happen beyond that. Is there any point, John, in taking a look at speed tables or speed bumps? We put a temporary out there.
We're just looking at some of the data. And I'd almost, we have data because we collected it. And I think we looked at it and said, we're not sure we're gonna get the result we want, but. We can take a look at it again and look at that as an alternative and. The only other thing is some of the data I saw. Average speed, which is a good, you really don't want to look at the average speed. You might see people going 32, which sounds like. They're above it. But some of the school districts have school zones with a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit. And I'm not sure if this
I
area,
believe they have one in the front of the school, but
yeah,
not in the
it's
back.
only where the main discharge from the school is,
Yeah.
and they'll put it there. And so remind me again, and I've been out to this site. But this isn't the main entrance, it's where the kids that are going back to the neighborhood walkers
Yes,
effectively
correct.
that return, all the bus kids and all the parent pickups are in a
Yeah,
different
well,
area.
there are some parent pickups in the
On the
back as
side.
well, yes.
Okay. All right,
And there is a entrance to the school property through a sidewalk. One house down off of Sunday
Yes.
from the intersection. There is an entrance to this.
and I'm
It's
not,
not a pick.
I haven't looked at the warrants for a school zone. But normally that's also a minimum volume where you can have higher speeds and things of that nature. Those would be the, you talk about, closing roads, and those are pretty extreme measures, but that would make it pretty inconvenient for a lot of other people, and sometimes that's considered, but I'm not so certain. This is when school's not in session, I think the road operates in a reasonable urban type, suburban type environment, but I think it would be I think trying to turn things into one ways or something like that is probably not appropriate for this area. Again, we would shift the problem to another location. So I think the goal is to try to get people to slow down and listen to the signs that are up and try to alert them as best possible. So, I think the last thing is we could look at that data again and see if, the beauty of the temporary speed humps is they don't, we could try them out and see if they have an impact on the speeds out there. And if they are effective, then typically what we've done in the past is get people to endorse them and say, yeah, we think that would be a good idea. We put them in on Kingston Road, if you recall,
Yeah, we did.
and that was a little, Kingston Road's pretty healthy traffic volume on that.
Where would we put them here?
I don't know. That's also an issue. The individual that was sort of in your position that would come to our board meeting complaining about the speeding. he said, put them in front of my house. And he sort of liked, I sat on his porch probably a dozen times. He would like when people would drive by and yell at him and be angry, but they did, slow people down. He got a lot of complaints from, and he didn't mind it. He knew that they were.
I think I sat on his porch with him once or twice.
And he just didn't mind being criticized. And so that's the other part of the speed hump discussion. Where do you put them? And, are the adjoiners going to be, because late at night, somebody doesn't see the speed hump or ignores it. You're going to hear some noise from a car speeding over it and
See the last time they speed over it.
even home. So we could look at that and see if it could be effective and, like I said.
So in your eyes, is the problem more people running the stop signs or speeding across the intersection in the direction that does not have the stop signs?
I think it's both. One stop sign, because they're coming off that hill and they're coming fast. Some slow down and do the California stop or, cross, and some just run it all together.
Yeah, and then you have the people that just kind of, somebody stops and then they just kind of tag along behind them. They figure, oh, it's fair for them.
What's going, we're going.
Yeah,
Very fast.
California stop you're referring to as somebody stopping, now coming to a complete
Yeah.
stop, and they can
Keep
be
rolling.
cited.
Yeah, rolling
Okay,
stop.
yeah, rolling stop. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd really like someone to look into the whole school sign aspect of this.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that our traffic engineer look at warrants again.
Because the school, especially, the timing aspect of it, where you can even have that, we have it some places where it's flashing just during school times, at least we could protect children. I think maybe stop signs is a losing battle for us, a lot of places, but this is pretty close to the school. It's probably technically not allowed, but who knows?
Manager, chief. What we think.
And then take a look at what you would think you would do if we were gonna put some speed tables or speed bumps in. And maybe we can try it in different directions and just see what kind of response we get.
sounds good.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else who would like to address the board? And with the board's permission, I would like to move up the item for resolution number 2023-27 for the liquor license. Everybody good?
I'm good.
So at this point, resolution number 2023-27, request to transfer restaurant liquor license R-47233 to CPLE Incorporated on 3905 East Market Street, York, Pennsylvania.
Mr. Chairman, I move for adoption of resolution 2023-27, request to transfer restaurant liquor license R-47233 to CPLE Inc. at 3905 East Market Street.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Enjoy.
Thank you.
All right, back to engineering reports, environmental engineer Diana.
Have a change on our report, so if you have any questions.
Diana, there's been one item on your agenda that's been open for a while about the wastewater treatment plant interceptor study. Do we have a target date when we expect to have that board?
Yeah, that was submitted to, submitted to. Previously.
Any other questions? Thank you. All right, John, civil engineering report.
Just have a few updates. First is the green or the RLE program. Those two signals at Industrial Highway at Haynes and Industrial Highway in Eastern are out to bid. We have it's on pen bid, so there are six. There are six signal contractors interested in pursuing that job, but good day. Davies Drive, we're still working with the contractor. And today we discussed some additional signal. Traffic begins to shift there. We have a plan B. We're going to add some equipment that if need to be implemented, it can easily be done. The TAFA grant at the sidewalk at Giant there, we had a conference call to go over our application. And it was a very productive meeting. I will tell you that PennDOT videoed they have a storm drainage system on Market Street in front of Giant. A pipe network system on the north side of the street and another one on the south side of the street, on the Y side, wide and Giant. And they were hell bent on trying to get the township to replace a pipe going down to Northern Way. And pipe was put in the 50s. It's a corrugated metal pipe. And they offered to pay for the pipe, and that's like a small percentage of the total cost. So I issued meeting minutes today. I think the manager came to a resolution that we're really not interested. We won't impact that pipe as part of our construction. We're just putting a sidewalk. I provided the board with an exhibit. We have a pretty detailed plan of how we're going to get that sidewalk all the way over to almost to the Coca-Cola plant. And we're going to have some small retaining walls. I don't think we need any additional permanent right away. We're going to probably need some construction right away. And we had a meeting with the owner of the owner's representative from JC Bar and their cooperative. They just don't want to lose any parking spaces, which they won't. So I think we're in pretty good shape there. Lastly, as I was coming to our last meeting, or a meeting here with staff, the bus that dropped people on the south side of Market Street, there must have been 25 people that got off the bus, the rapid transit bus, and crossed over. So we're gonna, depending on, we have a good amount of funding for the project as defined, but if we could do some other things to enhance that pedestrian activity, and they just scramble and cut through the median, and it's a little dangerous. So we're going to try to organize that a little better to tie in with rapid transit's drop zone, and hopefully we'll get all that to work together. But it's moving along. I think the deadline from PennDOT is it has to be out to bid in August. I think is what I read. So I think we'll be in pretty good shape.
Did you offer to PennDOT to buy the pipe if they put it in?
Yeah, that would be it's their pipe. And
They offered to pay, at first they said they would pay the pipe, but the pipe's underneath this curb. So for however many 100 feet, you'd have to replace the curb. So initially they said they would pay for the pipe. Everything else would be on us. Mind you, this is in the state road. So I said absolutely not. Then they come back, said they would do everything but the engineering. And I said, no, I'm paying for the engineering. How about if we put slip line in the pipe in our bid, you pay for the slip line in the pipe, and they come back and said, we're not interested in slip line. So
If they wanted that, I guess they gotta pay for it. That's okay.
They at least know the condition of their pipe. That's their pipe. Any other questions?
Okay, thanks, John.
Thank you.
Next, we have our consent agenda, 4 items.
Third consent agenda items A through D.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. All right, next we have subdivisions and land development. We have subdivision 2022-0005, Richard and Donna Scheiding and John and Diane Sarver.
Mr. Chairman, I can introduce this plan if need be, and I know the consultant from Gordon Brown is here. Mr. Scheiding is also here, I know, but this is this is 2 tracks located off of Mount Zion Road. And the 2 tracks are a total of about 28 acres. Mr. Scheiding there's a home on each track. The name Sarver is Mr. Scheiding's son-in-law. So the 28 tracks currently, one of the houses is on a 17-acre tract, and the son-in-law's tract is on an 11-acre parcel. What they're proposing to do is take a piece off the 17-acre, roughly 4 acres, and make it a 13 and a 15-acre parcel. It's a property line change effectively. As part of this, there's a private drive called Colonial Farm Lane that they created a exhibit that and a agreement for future maintenance, which is always a concern that Charlie Roush looked at and was okay with. And then we had, I'm not sure if your packet says there's outstanding condition property corners, but we checked and they put all the corners that were missing in. So technically, it's a minor subdivision if you approve that waiver, and there are no conditions other than you've got to get this plan recorded. That being said, the individual from Gordon Brown's office can answer any technical questions that you might have.
Yeah, you pretty well covered it. My name is Jake, but I'm Jake Kevin.
I'm sorry, what was the last name?
Hebel, Hebel.
Thank you.
Any questions? Comments, concerns? Skip right to motions.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to SD 2022-0005, I move that we adopt the plan subject to the following waiver, section 289-14, minor subdivision plan.
So we're not adopting the plan, we're
Approving the waiver, I'm sorry,
notification.
approving the waiver. Waiver of 1 year. So amended.
Sorry,
Out of curiosity, should it be 2022 or 2023?
this probably started last
It
year.
started last.
Started last year. Just wanted to make sure. Second,
Have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And next,
Mr. Chairman,
yes, we have to do the this is approval based on conditions.
Right, Mr. Chairman, relative to plan number SD 2022-0005. Move to adopt the plan subject to the following conditions. Condition 1, proposed lot 1A and lot 2 combination will require new legal description. And section 289-47E, where a subdivision is traversed by a watercourse, drainage way, channel, or stream, there shall be a drainage easement provided at least 30 feet from the measuring 15 feet on each side of the stream and channel.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
I have, they did add that waiver to the plan. I have copies of the plan in the back, and if you could, and be so polite, if the sign of prior to departure this evening, I'd appreciate it.
So,
Thank you. All right, let's see, where are we? Communication from supervisors. Anybody have anything this evening?
I have one thing. I noticed very recently in PSAT's magazine that PSAT's had a zoning hearing board training session, and it made me think of our newest member to the zoning hearing board. So I talked to the manager who I think made that connection and invited him to participate in that if he wanted to. I think we probably should think about if there are other opportunities like that for us to be supportive of our other boards, zoning hearing board, planning commission, et cetera, with either training opportunities or whatever. So I don't have a proposal, and I imagine the manager would have some ideas if he thought about it, but I think that's something we should really think about, taking good care of all of those nice volunteers.
I get daily email from PSACs, and until Mr. Fisher brought it up to me, and be quite honest with you, I only ever looked at PSACs training and had our employees in mind, not necessarily board or commission members. So until Mr. Bishop brought it up to me, said it never dawned on me. Ever since he brought it up to me, I've been looking every day. That's only been a week now. But there's a lot of opportunities. I don't know what the best method of getting those opportunities to those commissions without being burdensome with sending them an email of forwarding these emails. Maybe that's the easy way to go about it. And I don't have to have the answer today, but it's that particular one. I send the link to our new hearing board member and let him know that it's totally up to him. Township would gladly pay for it if he's interested in taking it. If there was no mandate or any pressure for him to take that. So we can have progress on that, but that is a new thought, a new thing to me.
Really good idea. I know that a number of supervisors have taken the new supervisor training that they give. I know there's other training available, so.
Quite often there's training. It just since Dawn has highlighted that to me, I think I saw another one that was somewhat applicable, maybe not all the way applicable to some board members. So just in the last week or two, I've noticed two. So
maybe once a month, if there are some things that stand out that might be helpful to either commission members or members that could just have a brief review of that at one of these meetings, just upcoming training that people may be interested in. That way we're not dripping and slamming people with a lot of junk mail, but
We can definitely work on something.
Just out of curiosity, if we're sending a volunteer to a PSATS training session, is there any liability associated for the township?
I don't know.
If they're acting on what, if we've invited them to attend something and say it's in Hershey, and someone gets in a traffic accident, does the township have liability because they're doing that on behalf of the township? A commissioner.
it's volunteer.
Yeah.
I understand.
Nobody's holding a gun to their head.
Right. Yeah, I think we do. Yeah, I too get a lot.
James, what do you think? You agree with that?
I mean, am I, it's,
I know school boards have an insurance that they're provided with transportation to meetings like this. I don't have an answer related to what you're referring to. I can research and get back to you about.
so if George should hit a pothole going home on Mount Zion Road tonight on the way home from this meeting, is the township liable?
Depend on it, because it's a state.
If it's a state road, it's
Not like in the bottles for manhole cover.
manhole cover,
They're worse than the potholes.
yeah. I mean, you get really crazy with stuff like this. I mean, who's responsible for whose life? Right,
George is getting paid.
excuse me?
George is getting paid. So
Oh,
George, James, in your example with the school board, is that what it? So the school board.
They have travel insurance.
To and from their home, to meetings and back, a regular meeting, not training.
No, I believe it's for training.
Okay.
When you go
But
to conferences or.
not to go to work.
No, it would fall under the same, when you're traveling to and from work. You're subject to your own auto policy. It's not. You're not a commercial vehicle at that point in time, in other words. So traveling to and from a meeting here would, in my mind, be the same thing, but I can confirm and circle back with you guys. That's a good question.
If I drive myself to a PSATS conference, why would anybody other than me be responsible for me driving myself?
That's the logical conclusion, but I'm certainly happy to investigate this for you.
Okay,
I have one other small thing. Thinking about that also got me thinking about I think we generally want to encourage volunteers and probably need to think about how to encourage the volunteers we have and take better care of them. I think this training is part of it, but there were times in the past where the board had volunteer recognition events and things like that. And it's not something we have to decide on tonight, but I think it's something we ought to think about.
or even a stipend,
What was that?
maybe possibly a stipend. Anything else, Don?
No, I'm good.
Anybody else? Solicitors report, anything? Either you
Charlie
or
is
Linnea?
healing well. He's on his email and firing away with information. So
Words in, words out.
that's pretty much it. But, he'll be up and running soon.
Managers report, Mark.
I have nothing to add to my written report.
Right, next, I think we have one resolution left, number 2023-28. Supporting the Safer Program grant.
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to provide a little bit of background with regard to this. At the most recent York Area United Fire and Rescue Commission meeting, the opportunity came before us to make a decision to support the chief in his efforts to apply for safer grant funding, which would provide funding for 3 years of 3 firefighters to be hired and to be brought on to the York Area United Fire and Rescue payroll, fully funded by the safer grant, which of course we won't know until we get that grant here until we apply. And based on that, the protocol, as the commission has learned, to get is to garner support by the various municipalities, certainly at least that constitute the regional fire service such as Yofford. And so what you have before you this evening is a resolution to support that application for the safer grant funding that will provide that 3 years funding for those firefighters.
The only thing I would add to that is I do support this resolution too. I'm moving forward with the application for safer.
And I will second it if that's.
Okay, I'll move to document resolution 2023-20.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? All in favor?
I,
Aye.
All right, chief, get busy writing.
Thank you.
Old business, we have 5 items here. Traffic calming, 10th, 11th Avenue, Road, I think. Might have some discussion about how that's gonna look with the bridge closures.
There is, John and his group developed a map to present to the board. I wanted them to add a couple things to the map. So I think for the next meeting, the 23rd meeting, we'll have a map to show the board what we're thinking and what I can further define. We are, as I said last time that we had a meeting, John, myself, fire chief, police chief, and Danny Crable, public works director, to try to come up with what we can come up with to help these folks out. In the meantime, John has reached out to the church on 11th Avenue and talked to the pastor there to see if he would be willing to let us have a town hall style meeting there. And the pastor is willing to do such. But first, I want to come to the board, get board's input, and then afterwards send letters out to all the residents in that area and invite them to a meeting. One of the things we came up with in that discussion, and we can hit on this further next meeting, is keep Beavers Lane Road Bridge closed when Sherman Street Bridge is under construction, therefore not encouraging people to use Ebert's Lane Bridge as a cut through. There's some question if we'd be allowed to do that, so we would have to look further in. So
what's the timing that they're going to be starting work on these? What are the closures?
The schedule didn't come out to the township yet through PennDOT, but from the contractor. PennDOT's engineer's best guess was it would be June of this year. That would be an early date for the closure of Evers Lane Bridge. And the same engineer felt that project would take about a year. He did not have any. Sherman Street would follow right then after.
These bridges just get done.
Yeah,
So now we have to widen them for the.
they went up before, now they have to go to accommodate the six lane section.
Is
I
it a
don't-
whole
I don't
replacement?
think they're whole replacements. I think it's just extensions.
Yeah, it's my thought too, as I'm doing.
I sat for an engineering week seminar, Dan Tech did the thing, and the Sherman Street Bridge apparently is a metal structure, so they're gonna just add a metal segment onto that bridge. I forget what they said about Ebert's Lane, that's a concrete structure,
Versus concrete.
and they're precasting something that's gonna make that's why it goes so quick, but. Yeah, both are slated, that's what they call an early action project.
So I should have more information for further discussion next meeting.
So Sherman is metal. Everyone's is-
Oh,
So they're gonna be navigating Mill Creek too, right?
yes, and that's the reason for the temporary sewer line work is to reroute around the bridges. And that's why it's a temporary thing, is to reroute our interceptor line, both bridges, and then afterwards, the permanent realignment of the sewer line.
Any word on that development on 11th Avenue? And Whiteford Road? Hiring sidewalks.
The last I heard is they weren't gonna move forward at this time. Did you hear any?
I didn't hear anything new.
Because at some point we want to determine what the sidewalk situation is there and when we move forward with wiring sidewalks, so maybe support that effort or something. Anything else on here that anybody wants to talk about? New business.
Mr. Chairman, the Spring Garden Township is interested, approached Springersbury Township myself, to gauge our interest in a cooperative effort between the two townships to install a bike trail, if you will, walking trail that what I understand would start around the Victory Fire Hall, follow Mill Creek. And then get across Market Street in some form or fashion, which would probably be on the street, not under the bridges because they're so low there. And then up north Sherman Street to roughly where Rudders is now, and then left underneath 83 and back to follow the stream and eventually get up. The goal would be to get up to the parking lot for the Heritage Rail Trail off of Louts Mill Road, across the street from our diversion pump station. So there was a meeting with PennDOT, a virtual meeting with PennDOT, which I was involved in, to discuss what PennDOT would require or be able to do as part of I-83 widening. And their Spring Garden Township manager was in that same meeting, as well as their commission member Rooney was a part of that meeting as well. So then a couple weeks later, their township manager approached me to see if Springersbury Board would be interested in having discussions on said potential project.
And you told them that Springersbury is always open to having discussions with our neighboring townships of matters of importance to our municipalities.
I wasn't that worried. I said, I would approach this board to see, gauge their interest.
I was getting at was governance.
Of course.
I think this is an excellent opportunity for both boards to come together and discuss this wonderful project as well as other items of mutual interest. That
Charles
being
took-
the governor.
Charles took my meeting.
I think it would be great to have a joint board work session of both boards.
And by that, you mean
All of us.
this entire board and their
And all
entire.
of their entire. And any support. Their manager.
And obviously it would have to be advertised and put agenda together. And have multiple topics covered.
I will let their manager know tomorrow.
Anything else? Meeting adjourned. Thanks, everyone.